Well, folks, thank you so much for joining me today. This is Mark Rugen coming to you from the great state of Alabama, and we are happy to be here on behalf of SAi, the makers of Flexi. And we're going to go over some secret features of Flexi 11 Service Pack 6. We'll show you how to get updated, if you're up to date, some of the advantages of the subscription, and we're going to show you some new tools that are really nice that they've added to this product. I think you'll really enjoy this presentation. As I mentioned earlier, it is being recorded, so you'll be able to watch this offline at a future date as well, and we'll keep you informed of that. So thank you again for joining us this morning. Let's start by just asking ourselves a couple of questions. You know, how much time could you save if you print your banner with fold lines or with bleeds or with the grommet locations so you can line those grommets up correctly? I remember when I had my shop, you know, I was taking out the tape measure and trying to figure out where the grommets go and so forth. Well, you're going to see the power of Flexi at work here. And what if you could just upselling your customers' designs using a simple text feature? We're going to show that to you as well. And finally, what if updating Flexi was as easy as checking the cloud window? We'll show you exactly how to do all these things because the power of Flexi is working on your behalf in this case. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about new features in the new Flexi 11 Service Pack 6. The first one I'm going to show you, and I'm going to go live with the product and show you some actual demonstrations, but the first one I thought was really interesting, and that is the new feature in the text menu called QR codes. Now, QR codes, you see a big one on the screen there, can be used in so many different ways. Just think about this. You know, if you're making a banner, let's say, and you're hanging that up on somebody's shop or on a street area, or if you're making those yard signs and so forth, you know, think about a real estate sign. You know, not only would it an open house sign, maybe something like that. Not only could you say that it's an open house, not only could you put the website or something like that, you could use QR codes to define things like the price of the house, the real estate website, discounts in restaurants. There's many, many uses for QR codes. Even putting them just on there so that they know who did this particular sign would be a very awesome thing. And it's a very easy thing to get that done. Let me go to Flexi, and I'll show you exactly how this works. Now, for the sake of space here, what I'm going to do is simply turn off the cloud features on the right-hand side, and that gives you a little bit more design space. And it's really as easy as just typing in what you want to actually make. So if you were to type in a website, right? All right, so we typed in this word, thinksai.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make a copy of that. I'm holding my control key down just to make a copy. And then I'm going to select that top copy. And it's as easy as going to the text menu, and you will now have QR codes available. That means that you can translate anything that you're typing in into a QR code. These are, by the way, these are super popular, and they're gaining. They kind of went up and down. Now they're gaining more popularity again here in the U.S. If you go on Google and look, they're extremely popular in places like Korea and Japan and so forth, where they have all these subway stations. People literally get out of the doors, walk right up to a sign. They can use their smartphone to take a picture of that QR code and get the information they need. So we're just going to convert that text to a QR code. And you'll see here, it actually converts it to the correct size. But you can, in Flexi, of course, resize that any way you want. So if you're creating a billboard, or if you're creating a sign for the side of a building or something like that, and you need that QR code nice and big, you can make it any size you want. That's really easy to do, and that is a very, very cool thing. By the way, if you're watching this and you got your smartphone, give it a shot. Take a picture of this right now, leave it on there for a second or two, and it'll take you right to that website. So this is the power of QR codes, and just doing that, you could offer that to your customers, and and just mention to them that you can add the QR code, for another $5 or something like that. It's a way to make a little extra money with your customers and upsell them using text if you want to. All right. So that's one of the nice features that's available to you in this new update that's in Service Pack 6. Another one that I think is really important, and this has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of us are in the print business now. And one of the most irritating things is to try to figure out, does my image have enough resolution so that when I print it, I'm not going to see it pixelated when I print? And we can check that several ways, obviously. You probably want to go to Think SAi, by the way, and look for live training events where we show you these in practical terms. But how do you check that? Well, we could print it out on a section of it at full size and on our printer to check that. But there's a great new zoom tool that's been added to Flexi 11, and that is the Zoom 1-to-1 tool. Now I'm going to show you how that works, because I really like this tool. It's a really great tool. Let's say a customer has sent you a photo that they actually want to print, okay? So you get this photo that they send to you, and perhaps it looks pretty good on the monitor. But again, you're going to check this to see what it's going to look like when it prints. A really great feature is over here on the left-hand side, there's actually a new tool called Zoom Actual Size. So if I click on that Zoom tool, what it does is it literally blows the image up so that on your monitor, you're actually seeing it at the size it would actually print on your printer. So as you can see in this case, it's quite pixelated in my graphics. So I would know without hesitation that I need to adjust this particular image before printing it. That's a really great tool, because it just allows you to see this without having to waste media or time. Let's close that one up, okay? And let's open a different file. I'll just open something different. Maybe this, the roses here is fine, okay? And we click on that, and we notice that this one is actually 60 inches by 40 inches. So again, we're curious as to whether or not that's going to print properly on our printer. Again, go back over to the Zoom tool, click on that. It zooms it up nice and big, and you're actually seeing on the monitor here the quality of the image in terms of how it's going to print on your printer. So you're getting a very good approximation of what it's going to look like at full print size. So in this case, maybe perhaps a little hazy on the edges, but not a lot of pixelation. So I would probably be happy with this depending on my application. That is really a great feature that's been added to the Flexi 11, and I think that's one that all of us should put to practice immediately. Another great thing that they've done in the product is having familiarity with color matching is extremely important. And needless to say, all of us want our greens to print green, our reds to print red, and our bitmaps to print out properly. Perhaps many of us are experiencing issues with that. When we send the file to print, what we see on our monitor doesn't match closely what we see on our printer. A lot of that has to do with color management. Well, we're certainly, by the way, another pitch here, I'm just going to hit you with it because I'm just not ashamed of it. I'm in the training business. We're doing training all over the U.S. Go to sai.com/events, and you'll see where we are. We've got a lot of live trainings, and part of that training is going to include this topic. So we'll go into detail on those cases. But in the case of Flexi, what they've done is they've added a generic LCD monitor profile that you can use to help preview in Flexi what you're going to get when you print, the colors and the quality. So let me show you how that works. I'm going to go back to Flexi again, okay? So here's our rows that we want to print, okay? And you can see it's nice and bright and so forth. I mean, obviously other color management issues we can deal with during our class. But I want to preview that. So up at the very top of Flexi, there's a small monitor up here, and it says soft-proofed. And if you don't find that, you should. But if you don't, you just go to the View menu, and you'll see soft-proof over here as well. So it actually turns on a preview. I'm going to click on that, and what that's doing is telling Flexi, I want to see on the monitor what this is going to look like when I print based on my color management settings. So let's click that on. All right, so I turn that on, and you can see that rose went from that bright red to something that was much, much darker. The leaves changed and so forth. Now, this might be what you want. I'm not saying this isn't, but it doesn't match our original graphic very well at all. I'm just going to turn it on and off a couple of times so you can see the difference. Right? So that's just a total different thing there, right? So I'm going to go ahead and turn Sawproof on, and we can see what I really want is I'd like to match my original bright rows and so forth as closely as possible. How do you do that? Well, I'm going to go to my Edit menu, and I'm going to choose a setting here called Color Settings. And what this does is these are the instructions that are being given to Flexi to adjust colors on the monitor prior to sending them to the printer. It's actually telling it what to display on the monitor as well as how to control what the printer does when they print. Well, with the addition of this generic LCD monitor profile, basically I can go here and choose generic LCD monitor. And what that does is that's a more accurate monitor profile. Adobe RGB 1998 is a very large color space that doesn't properly represent LCD monitors. But this generic one is a closer match. So in other words, I'm going to get a much closer approximation, a more believable image on my monitor. I can even go to my input profile and change that if I want to my generic monitor profile. Now I want you to watch carefully. When I click OK, it'll take a second or so to show up on your screens there, but you're going to see that that image now brightens up considerably. In fact, if I turn off my proof and turn on my proof, you can see that they're a very close match. There's some difference because that's adjusting for the media and for other aspects of color management. The point is, by adding this generic LCD monitor profile to Flexi, what they've done is now made it possible for everyone who has Flexi 11 to actually use color matching and color management more properly. And that is an extremely good thing to have in our business. So not only can we check the pixels by going to the zoom, now we can actually compare monitor to printer and get more accurate prints. That is an excellent feature that's been added to the service pack here. One other feature that I think is of extreme importance to us from a production standpoint, we asked at the beginning, what if you could save time by adding the grommets, by adding the bleed, by adding the fold points, the stitch points, all the things we do with banners when we fold them over to create that nice soft edge. All those things are now capable of being pre-displayed in Flexi so that your folks that are in production can get them exactly right. So in the example that you see here, you see the grommets and you see the bleed marks and so forth. And I want to show you in a live session how that works as well. And there's a lot of control in this. I won't go into detail, but it's a great way to display this graphic. Now I've taken this rose and I've already sent it over to my production manager. So I'm in production manager now. And basically what I did there was I sent the file over on hold. So in other words, I told Flexi, don't print it right away. Just send it to the queue, the hold queue, which is the bottom down here on the left, so that I can see it in my production manager. And by the way, this is also awesome because it allows me to kind of preview what I'm going to get before I print. And yes, even with the color management settings turned on or off, that will display properly here. Gives me information on the bottom. I'm going to double click on my file name over here. And what that's going to do is bring up a menu that allows you to preview your job in a job properties dialog box. This is really cool. I don't know if a lot of you are using this in this way. You know, a lot of us just kind of set it all up, preview it in the rip and print menu, and then just send it to our printer. But the job properties button allows you to do some really fantastic things. And one of the things that's been added is a new tab over here called finishing. So I'm going to click on that. And what you'll see is it actually flips it over so that it's in its right view here. On the left-hand side are my grommets, my folds, and my bleeds. And basically, if I click on grommet, for instance, and you can change the size of the grommet. I'll just change this so that you can see it a little bigger, obviously. You can choose any size you want in here. You can change the number of grommets and their locations if you want to place them, or if you want them by distance or by number. These are all separated exactly and placed in the proper location. You can even turn on color if you'd rather. Sometimes a graphic might be a white background and you can't see the grommet holes, so you turn them to a different color, maybe a solid color, in order to see those. It's actually doing this automatically. It's kind of cool. There are folds where you can turn that on and off to print the fold marks. You can even click on bleed here, and I'm going to increase this. And by the way, these little markers over here, it looks like this. That's constant. What that does is when I click 1 inch here, it's changing all 4 sides at the same time. So even that's saving me time. But you can see on the right-hand side that's taking the bitmap that I'm printing, or whatever, even vectors, doesn't matter, and it's stretching it across my bleed so that my fold there, where I'm going to fold that, so that when I fold that over, tape it, weld it, seam it, whatever I'm going to do with this particular banner, you're not going to see that white edge along the edges there. It'll actually look like it's solid all the way across. That is a wonderful capability when it comes to working with grommets, and that is a nice way to save a lot of time when you're working, trying to locate and put these in the right spot and so forth. Great way to work with that particular kind of project. The next subject is kind of interesting as well, and especially, and I'm going to talk about subscription-based Flexi here for just a moment, okay? And by the way, I want to make sure everybody realizes, the SAi folks are not like Adobe where you have no choice. They're a company of choice. You have the choice of subscribing, or you can still get the desktop version. They both run on your desktop. The only thing the cloud does, by the way, is help you install it and give you access to profiles and so forth easily. We'll talk about in a minute. But you have a choice. You can do either one. Now, that being said, if you were to have a pretty large project come in, and I had one of these when I owned my sign shop. We had some banners we needed to do for fireworks stands. And there was like 40 or 50 stands we had to do. So I really wish I had had the subscription back then, because I could have set up 2 or 3 different stations for a month or so to get this, whole job done. Not that it would take a month, but I'm just saying I could subscribe for a month and have 3 or 4 folks working on this at the same time. Well, one of the issues is maybe I get the color right on my computer for printing, but the guy I hired temporarily to work on the second subscription area, or the second station, is not quite familiar with that. And he has to ask me, what settings did you use, and how big should the graphic be printed, and what bleeds did you use, and all those questions, right? Well, one really nice thing you can do, and this I highly recommend you start putting into practice, is to explore the idea of presets. You can, in Flexi now, not only create these presets, but you can export them. And what you're looking at here is you can turn on and say, I want to save the layout. I want to save the color management settings I just set up. I want to save the bleeds and the folds that I just set up. I want to save the printer options, the labels, whatever it is that you've set up in Production Manager, you can save that as a preset. The advantage, you can then actually have that second station import that preset, and everything would work identical to your station. That's a great feature. Let me show you how that works. We're over here in Production Manager, and let's say I've got this rose here. And again, I'm going to just double-click on this to go to my job properties. All right? So you remember I set up my tabs and my bleeds and so forth over here, whatever those values were. I can go through all of these icons at the top here for color management, and that includes setting the proper size for the graphic. It includes setting the color management for the graphic, everything I need to do to get it right. Once I'm assured that everything is correct, I can go right up to the top of job properties here and save that as a preset. And it will save whatever you've checked off here. So I've selected everything, and I'm going to click OK. And we'll just save that as a preset, okay? I'll just save that as SAi for now, and click OK. Now, what advantage is that to me as a customer, right, or as a user of Flexi? I can now go to my File menu, and I can export that preset so that someone else can use it. This is fantastic because it allows that other station, or that, if I'm on a network and I'm in two different places, I can now be assured that the other station is going to use the very same settings I used. Very important. And basically all you would do is click on Import Preset at that point. It would open up a dialog box. You go to wherever you save that preset, wherever that happened to be saved. In my case, earlier today, I saved a preset called GMH right here, and it's going to be a PTF file. Basically, it saves all the settings, including, by the way, the profile you used. So here I can just say Open, and it would open that preset, and I could say, do you want to use it and replace it? And I say yes. And then I'm going to actually use it on this particular graphic. And I can do all those things right inside my particular version or my particular station of Flexi. That's a powerful, powerful tool. So the next time I want to have somebody print this particular graphic, I can simply go here now and say, load up that SAi preset, load up that GMH preset, and it will reset everything. You notice in this case, my GMH was a different size, so it resized my graphic perfectly. If I want to, I could go back to my SAi. That's a lot faster through all these tabs, one at a time, to make sure everything is correct. So once your color management's right, once everything's correct, you can import those presets or export them so that others can use them. A great new feature in this particular version of Flexi. So let's talk about Flexi 11 for a moment. The cloud part of this, by the way, are those tools that you saw on the right-hand side of Flexi. So literally in Flexi over here, if I turn those on, over here on the right-hand side, when you're connected to the Internet, you will see a set of tools over here on the right-hand side. And basically those tools are there for you to make it more convenient for you to receive help and support, as well as to get profiles, or even to upload and save files so that you can protect them from any kind of catastrophe that might happen in your sign shop. You can actually save them online if you want to. You don't have to. And that's, again, it's very important you understand it's a matter of choice. You make the choice. So printer profiles you can gain access to. New drivers. I get emails sometimes for technical support through my company, and basically someone will say, well, hey, I don't know if there's a driver for this. You can actually check right online. You can get access directly to all the training and education tools that SAi is providing. And believe me, working closely with them, they are expanding these rapidly. You're going to see a much greater support structure through them, and I think that's a very good thing on their behalf that they're doing. You will have direct access to the YouTube videos they put out almost daily, the Facebook page, the Guild, and Autographics if you're looking for vehicle images that you can place your graphics on and so forth. All that's accessible through the cloud portion of your Flexi product. And most importantly, as I mentioned, was the training. We just did a training class down in Orlando, Florida. And the SAi folks have asked me to participate with them in their education initiative for 2015 and beyond. So I kind of feel like Buzz Lightyear, it's training for now and beyond, okay? And basically what that's about is that we're going to do live events. We're going to be at trade shows. We're going to be doing private company events, where it's a company and you want 5 or 6 people together within a company. It might be a webinar like we're doing today, and even more is on its way. To find out more about those events, simply go to thinksai.com/events, and you'll be able to find out where the training sessions are being held. In addition, we've developed a brand new training DVD for Flexi 11. And I called it the Ultimate Flexi 11 Training DVD because it not only shows you all aspects of Flexi, literally from installing it to the color management we talked about earlier. There are even references to other programs that can help you throughout to get the job done. You can access information about this particular training tool at the website you see below there. I'll leave that on for a moment. And you'll be able to learn more about how you can get involved with this and learn more about this program. Because once you learn more about Flexi, you will find that you're a much more powerful user of it, and you'll be able to do more with it. It's a very, very good tool. Now, let's talk about how do you know whether or not you're up to date. How do you know what happens there? The two things I want to talk about is some of you may actually have a hardware key that you're still using, which is fine. But you'll need to check to see whether you're up to date or not. Subscription users as well. But the cloud, there's actually a way for us to communicate with you. There can be a way for you to check, first of all, by using the Help menu and then going to About. And what you'll do there, that's the first clue. What you'll want to do is go to Help and About, and on the right-hand side, or in that menu that pops up, you're going to see the word Flexi Cloud and then a version number. So the version number that I'm using here is version 11, Service Pack 6, build number 2145, P1.1. Sounds like a lot of numbers, but basically it's telling me I'm up to date. That's one way to tell. So as soon as you get off here, just check to see if you're up to date. If you're not, you're more than welcome, and I'll show you a screen here in a moment where you can even call in or help with that if you want. Okay? Secondly, there are times when an update is available, and this is in particular with the subscription users as well, where you will actually get a notification, an alert, that there's an update available. And when that happens, the instructions will be given to you as to how to download that update and how to get that done. Usually, if one service pack behind, let's say you're on Service Pack 5 and Service Pack 6 is released, then you'll get that notification and it will tell you there's a service pack available, there's an update available, here's how you download it. All the instructions are there, very easy to follow. If you're more than a couple of service packs behind, or if you're a version behind or something like that, you may not get that notification. In that case, when you look at the Help and About, if you want to investigate more about Flexi 11, then what you want to do is call that number or email eSupport, and they will help you find out more about that version of the software. It's very important, and I highly recommend that you stay up to date. Now, I realize I ran a shop, everyone, okay? I know it's tough to set aside, money and that kind of stuff, but you know what? A lot of times these updates are given to you at no cost, and that's what you definitely want to make sure that you stay current with. And if there's a version update and there's a minor cost to it, many, many times that cost is well within the first 2 or 3 jobs that you do with the product anyway. So I encourage you all to learn more about Flexi 11. We've been talking about the secrets of Service Pack 6. There are actually even more to it, and I would encourage you to get more information by simply calling the number you see below there or emailing. Folks, it's been my pleasure to show you just some of the features of this product in the last half hour or so. As I mentioned earlier, there will be a recorded version of this for you to take a look at again. And we're also going to do another session, by the way, in a couple of hours, about 1 o'clock Central Time. So if you want to rejoin us to see it again, you're more than welcome to do that. And if you have been on chat or if you've had questions and so forth, I know we've had staff that's been monitoring that. Hopefully they've answered those. But if you have additional questions, feel free to call. Our staff is going to be on alert to receive your calls, and we hope that you will have those questions answered. So this is Mark Rugen on behalf of SAi International. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope everyone has a very successful week and weekend, and happy sign writing, everyone. Thank you very much. So long.